To connect programmatically to an AWS service, you need to use an endpoint, and an endpoint is the URL of the entry point of an AWS web service. So these things are very important to know, and they do have a default, but when you understand what they are underneath, you have more flexibility to change things out. So there is a general format that service endpoints utilize. They're going to vary per service because service teams have flexibility to deviate from the norm, but more or less, this is what you're going to see. So it's going to look like this, where you have a protocol. I'm just going to get my pen out here so I can mark that. A protocol, a service code, a region code, and then the AWS, Amazon AWS.com domain. And for security, generally TLS version 2 is expected, or an older one might be supported. I believe the latest version of TLS is 3, so that's generally what should be used, but there are some things to know there. If we wanted to see this filled in, here's an example of CloudFormation. So we have CloudFormation, and this is operating in UEAST 2, and we're using the protocol of HTTPS. Generally, everything is using HTTPS. There could be a case where HTTP is allowed, or maybe even other protocols that I'm not listing here. So there are generally 4 types of service endpoints. There could be more than this, but 4 is what I was able to boil it down to. We have global endpoints. These are AWS services that use the same endpoint. Then you have regional endpoints. This is AWS services that require you to specify a very specific region. You could have FIPS endpoints. So some endpoints support FIPS for enterprise use. FIPS is a method of using cryptographic keys that use envelope encryption. Then you have dual stack endpoints. This is where they support both IPv6 and IPv4. A lot of services are moving towards dual stack because they want to utilize the IPv6 address range, and that will probably be the future for most IP endpoints. Then there are types of service endpoints that can be combined. So you could have a regional plus FIPS plus dual stack. So you can see there's a lot of variation there. AWS services may have multiple different service endpoints, and the AWS CLI and SDK will automatically use the default endpoint for each service in AWS region. And I should say that you can change the endpoint out for the CLI or SDK via a configuration option. But yeah, so that is a general overview of service endpoints. Now let's take a look at the 4 major endpoint types, okay?